Greetings, fellow time travelers. Welcome back to Secrets of the Ancients, where we uncover the hidden mysteries of lost civilizations and dive deep into the secrets that shaped our world. I'm your archaeological guide, ready to take you on another mind-bending journey through the corridors of time. Today's discovery will challenge everything you thought you knew about ancient history. We're traveling back over 4,000 years to the cradle of civilization itself, Mesopotamia, where the Sumerians left behind clay tablets containing stories so extraordinary, so puzzling, that they still spark heated debates among scientists today. Before we unveil these incredible secrets, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, you don't want to miss the ancient mysteries we're about to reveal. And if you genuinely enjoy what we do here, drop a like. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. Your support helps us continue these archaeological adventures. Now, dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's journey together into the ancient world of Sumer. Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a world long before our own, a place where the first cities rose from the earth, where people gazed up at the stars, wondering about their place in the universe. Over 4,000 years ago, in what is now modern-day Iraq, something extraordinary was happening. The Sumerians, one of humanity's earliest civilizations, were building cities, inventing writing, and mapping the night sky with a precision that still amazes modern scientists. But here's what will blow your mind. Among their achievements, they left behind thousands of clay tablets covered in wedge-shaped symbols called Cuneiform. And on these tablets they wrote about beings called the Anunnaki, visitors described as coming from the sky, bringing wisdom and knowledge that seemed far beyond their time. Who were these mysterious beings? Were they simply gods of old myths? Or could there be more to this story? Pay attention to this incredible fact. The Sumerians didn't just have a vague creation myth. They had detailed records, genealogies, and what appear to be historical accounts of these beings. They described their arrivals, their conflicts, their technology, and even their family disputes. This is what makes the Anunnaki mystery so compelling. These weren't abstract divine concepts. The Sumerians wrote about them as if they were real beings with personalities, rivalries, and very specific plans for humanity. Today, we're diving deep into these ancient texts. What we'll discover will make you question everything you thought you knew about human history. Are we looking at mythology, or could we be reading humanity's first encounter with something beyond our world? The answers might be closer than we think, and the journey to find them is just beginning. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of the Euphrates River over 4,000 years ago. The sun is setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Before you rises a city unlike anything modern eyes have seen. This is Sumer, the birthplace of civilization itself. The first thing you notice is the profound silence. There's no hum of traffic, no electric buzz. Instead, you hear the gentle lapping of water against reed boats, the distant bleat of goats, and the rhythmic sound of a potter's wheel still turning in the cooling evening air. As you walk toward the city gates, the air changes. The clean scent of the river gives way to the smells of urban life. Baking bread from communal ovens, the tang of livestock, and the sweet heavy perfume of incense drifting from a high place you can't yet see. The streets are narrow, a tangled web designed for feet and carts. Houses are packed together, their flat roofs providing living space for sleeping on hot nights. It's strange, yet profoundly familiar. This is the blueprint for every city that would ever follow. And then you see it, towering over the entire city, a dark shape silhouetted against a sea of stars. The Ziggurat. This colossal stepped pyramid is a man-made mountain of clay bricks rising in terraces toward the heavens. It seems to pull the entire city into its orbit, a center of gravity for both the physical and spiritual worlds. Here's what's truly amazing. These structures weren't just temples. Recent archaeological investigations suggest they served multiple functions as administrative centers, astronomical observatories, and yes, connection points between Earth and the heavens. The shrine at the top was considered the earthly home of the city's patron deity, and in Sumer, that meant the Anunnaki. Imagine the sheer effort required to build this. Thousands of people toiling for decades under the brutal sun, raising millions of mud bricks, all to create a staircase for beings they believed would descend from the sky. It's a level of devotion that's hard to comprehend. almost as if they weren't just trying to please their gods, but fulfilling a very specific architectural requirement given to them by someone who knew exactly what they wanted. Now, let's step inside a building that holds the key to understanding everything. This is a tablet house, an ancient library where Sumer's records and stories were kept. Shelves of baked clay tablets line the walls, each one covered in tiny wedge-shaped marks of cuneiform script. These aren't just religious texts, they're historical records, astronomical charts, mathematical treatises, and most intriguingly detailed accounts of the Anunnaki. Here's where things get fascinating. When the Sumerians wrote about the Anunnaki, they didn't describe them as vague, mystical forces. They wrote about them with the kind of specificity you'd expect from eyewitness accounts or historical records. The texts speak of an arrival, not a gentle, ethereal materialization, but a physical descent. The Anunnaki came from the heavens after a journey through what the Sumerians called the celestial ocean. Now here's the puzzling question. When they wrote "from the heavens," did they mean the conceptual realm of the gods? Or did they mean the literal sky? The Sumerians didn't have words for spacecraft or extraterrestrial, so what words would they have used? They described shining chariots and celestial boats. They called these beings Dingir, a word whose symbol is a star, translated as gods, or more literally, the shining ones. This is where mainstream archaeology and alternative theories dramatically diverge. The academic consensus is clear. The Anunnaki were the principal deities of the Sumerian pantheon. Their name translates to princely offspring or those of royal blood, signifying their place as children of Anu, the supreme sky god. They were simply the top tier of divinity in a complex religious system meant to explain natural forces and legitimize political power. But here's what makes some researchers question that explanation. The descriptions feel strangely specific, almost technical. They talk of long journeys, of councils convened in celestial homes, of decisions made to establish a presence on Earth. Recent archaeological analysis continues to debate whether these texts represent purely mythological constructs or contain elements of historical memory passed down through generations. Now, let me show you something that has sparked decades of controversy. It's a small cylindrical seal, catalogued as VA-243. These cylinder seals were used by ancient Sumerians as signatures. When rolled across wet clay, they left an impression marking ownership or authority. Most show typical scenes: kings before gods, animals, religious symbols. But VA-243 shows something different. It depicts several seated figures, and next to them is an image of what appears to be a star surrounded by 11 smaller orbs. To mainstream archaeologists, this is obviously symbolic. The sun, or a star surrounded by other celestial symbols, representing divine power or astronomical concepts known to the Sumerians. But here's what catches everyone's attention. If you count those orbs and add the central star, you get a remarkable number. Some researchers have suggested this looks uncannily like a diagram of our solar system, including planets that weren't officially discovered until modern times with telescopes. Now, we must be clear about the scientific debate here. Sumerologists emphasize that interpreting ancient symbolic art through a modern astronomical lens is extremely problematic. The Sumerians used symbolic representation in complex ways we're still trying to fully understand. However, what cannot be denied is this. The Sumerians were incredibly sophisticated astronomers. They tracked planetary movements, predicted eclipses, and developed mathematical systems that formed the basis of our timekeeping today. The 60-minute hour and 360-degree circle. Thank the Sumerians for that. So the question remains, was this seal purely symbolic, or were they recording knowledge that seems impossibly advanced for their time? The mystery continues to puzzle researchers on both sides of the debate. Now here's where the story gets truly fascinating. If the Anunnaki were a divine management team, their board meetings must have been absolutely legendary. Let me introduce you to two brothers whose rivalry would shape the entire destiny of humanity, according to Sumerian texts. First, meet Enlil. Picture him, stern, powerful, a being of immense authority and very little patience. His name means Lord of the Command, and he was tasked by his father Anu with managing the entire Earth operation. Enlil is the god of wind, air, and storms. He's all about order, hierarchy, and getting the job done efficiently. Think of him as the ultimate micromanaging boss who invented performance reviews and then scheduled them for Friday afternoons. The texts describe him as frequently irritable, especially when it comes to the noisy, messy business of other living creatures. He values his peace and quiet, and he doesn't suffer fools or really anyone else gladly. On the other side, you have his half-brother Enki. If Enlil is the stern commander, Enki is the brilliant head of research and development. His name means Lord of the Earth, but his domain is the Abzu, the freshwater ocean believed to exist deep beneath the ground. He's the god of water, but also of knowledge, wisdom, magic, and creation. Where Enlil is rigid, Enki is flexible. Where Enlil sees problems to be eliminated, Enki sees puzzles to be solved. He's depicted as profoundly clever, a master of technology and invention, and crucially, more sympathetic to lesser beings in the cosmic hierarchy, especially humans. The conflict between these two powerful beings drives most of Sumerian mythology. You can see it play out in countless tablets. Enlil demands work, Enki devises ways to make it easier. Enlil gets annoyed by population growth, Enki schemes to protect them. It's a classic sibling rivalry played out on a planetary scale. You could honestly make a reality show out of it, keeping up with the Anunnaki. We have so many more mysteries to uncover together, from the lost cities of Mesopotamia to the temples of the Americas, from the pyramids of Egypt to the stone circles of Europe. We leave no ancient secret unexplored. Remember, fellow seekers, the past is not a closed book. Every year, new discoveries emerge from the sands, new tablets are